Rocaterrania remained secret all these years because I thought a lot of people might think I'm something wrong with me. Fantasy is sort of like fruit and dessert, and reality is like meat and potatoes and green beans, or beef stew or something like that. Hopes and fears and happiness and sadness, all in it. It's a valley of tears to me, is what it is. I was dependent on my parents, and I was trapped on the ranch to be dependent on my parents, with the dream of getting away from that someday. So I tried to escape by creating an imaginary world which eventually became Rocaterrania. It's supposed to be between the United States and Canada, just south of the St. Lawrence River. Rocaterrania was founded by people drifting to the north of New York State, setting up a new nation there. People that couldn't understand democracy for what it was, so they set up a little Europe on the rocky terrain known as Rocaterrania. They are Eastern Europeans, and that's how Rocaterrania was born. This suit also has something to do with Rocaterrania. This is worn by the Rocaterranian Conservation Corps. Ciudad El Dorado is the capital. Of course, it's a very cosmopolitan city, sort of a pocket-sized Paris. The language of Rocaterrania is Rocaterranski. It composes of many words from the Slavonic languages, because it has a lot of Slavic words in it, has a lot of German words in it, Russian words in there too, and of course Yiddish. And the main body of it is sort of corrupted Spanish. Grammar kind of gets complicated because sometimes you got to go to Spanish grammar, sometimes you got to go to Serbian grammar. Well, you could say if there was a stew in a language, that's Rocaterranski for you. I was trying to work out an alphabet for Rocaterrania. This was the alphabet that was first used. And as you can see, it's got some Hebrew characters. Well, of course, there's a big Jewish population in Rocaterrania. English is very inconsistent. There have been attempts in Rocaterrania to reform the English language so as to teach English and make it more understandable and remove some of the inconsistencies, because English is important in dealing with the United States. Our diplomats have to know English if they go to America. The borders are closed now between Rocaterrania and America, with the exception of one or two spots. Rocaterranians are not very good immigrants. They love their homeland too much. When you see pickle with bubbles, what it is that pickle is anticipating a bath. Pickle wants to take a bath. And pickle would look good in the bathtub too. I always wanted to be filmed in the bathtub. Marlene Dietrich has been filmed in the bathtub in the movie Night Without Armor. Marilyn Monroe has been filmed in the bathtub. If they can be filmed in the bathtub, why can't I? Let the world know I'm a clean person. And yeah, Glenn Ford, what a monstrosity. He's been filmed in the bathtub. And, well, I just got a certain grudge against that guy. But I do have a movie industry in Rocaterrania, like every country has a movie industry. But the movie industry is rather small in Rocaterrania. Rocaterrania being a poor country, they can't afford to build big, elaborate sets like Cecil B. DeMille. They made a movie called Rocket Ship MDX, based on Rocket Ship XM, the American film Rocket Ship XM. This is Al Britanoff. Lombardo also plays in it. That's the moon. But they build this rocket ship, then they leave Rocaterrania and go out into space. They get thrown off the course by meteors, and they find themselves landing on Mars. In Mars, they find a culture there, and it's a sci-fi. Of course, they never did get into space, but it was lots of fun. You see, I've admired an early space artist. His name was Chesley Bonestell. I love to draw pictures of the universe, so I had people face the universe. And with, of course, what is greater freedom and greater space to move around in the universe. So Pico stands there and he admires the universe for its great vastness, freedom, freedom, and freedom. At one time, the people in Rocaterrania were not free at all. They were not very free. Rocaterrania is not a utopia. It is not a fairyland or dreamland. What it is, and it directly tells the story of my life and my struggle to become what I am today. I am Rocaterrania, and my troubles within me and everything else, the events in my life. Rocaterrania began as a monarchy. Let's go back to the 40s and 30s. We have Catherine. Catherine was a red-haired empress who ruled Rocaterrania sort of with an iron hand. Catherine always loved to show her legs. She was kind of a sexy empress. Catherine liked to have Newtons, sort of like you had eunuchs in the Turkish courts. Catherine ruled until 1948. Catherine died of cancer. After she died, Georg Nikolai took over. But Rocaterrania got very, very oppressive. The government was corrupt and very authoritarian. The people were just getting awfully sick and tired of it. They had to have a revolution in which they overthrew the Caesar. So I went underground. When the elections were held in 1954, Khan came to power. So they organized an army and get the army all together. Then they have what they call, in January, the March on Ciudad El Dorado, the capital. Regardless of the snow, they were going to march, man. Just like Mussolini marched on Rome. The mental power of a human being is in his brain, and that is his government, and how he thinks and how he acts, and so forth. One of my greatest triumphs was to become the man I always wanted to be, myself. I think of Rocaterrania, I think each person is a nation into himself. And what he does with that nation is up to him.